So, first of all, I want to thank you all for what you're doing and for what you've done for people, and I just want to make sure that the community is aware of that. And I want to thank Dennis from the Republican, I want to thank Johan from Holyoke Media. So, I called this press conference because I believe that it is crucial that the community gets a better understanding of the many things that members of the Holyoke Police Department try to do. Here at this Race Street headquarters, in partnership with clinicians from the Behavioral Health Network, and we appreciate that, and the Hampden County Sheriff's Department, and we appreciate that. Most of the work done is to assist those in need to find a better path. There are 2 units stationed here that I'm going to talk about today, and if I shortchange anybody, please forgive me. One, the Opioid Task Force had 64 person-to-person encounters during the month of May. Of those 64, 47 received referrals to such things as hotel housing and recovery counseling. 12 of those 64 actually entered into a detox treatment program. The crisis intervention team responded to 88 crisis or mental health situations, with the behavioral health clinician leading the response on 45 of those calls. The goal again is to calm the situation and seek out the best potential solution for the persons involved. One of my hopes would be that we can expand that partnership with BHC to include at least another shift working in partnership with another Holyoke police officer. It is also my understanding that these calls resulted in few, if any, arrests. I personally want to thank all of the personnel involved in this service and look forward to having more successful monthly reports as you change lives one person at a time. And I've asked Captain Pratt, who will be the incoming chief, I'm going to be asking for a lot of different reports. I want to be able to know, and there's going to be times I'm going to say, I don't like that report. We got to figure out why that report is going on, and we got to figure out a way to make that a little different. But for right now, what I want to do, and Dennis and Johan, you're the press, so I want you to be able to ask questions. I want you to be able to understand what they do on a person-to-person basis, where you get your contacts, how you get your contacts, how you deal with that, how do we approach things, and what kind of expectations you have, and what kind of patience you have in order to do what you're doing. So I'll throw it open to you to ask any questions you want, unless somebody wants to make a statement for Captain.
I'll just make a quick brief statement to add to what the mayor said. This has been going on here in Holyoke. I noticed some other local departments are now just starting to get on board with BHN and try to do things similar. I'm very proud of the fact that Holyoke is on the forefront of that. We've been doing this for over 2 years. Long before anybody else was talking about doing it, we've been doing it. These men and women have been doing it and doing it well. Also along, and the mayor brought up those 2 units, we also have Officer Rivera, who's in charge of our elderly affairs, and Josh Cologne, who's our community police officer. They as well work out of here, and it's all one big team, and they're all, when they get resources or get problems, believe it or not, sometimes our elderly have mental health issues as well, and it's all teamed together, and it's great because they know where to go to get the help those people need. And Josh is our community police officer, like a liaison to the community. Maybe somebody we're not aware of who has some issues, Josh will find out on the street and get that back to these guys, and they can get out there and do that. So it's all one big team here. I'd be remiss. Lieutenant Reyes is sort of overall in charge of the CIT program, the crisis intervention program. So it's been going on. So we just want to really get it out, and I really appreciate the mayor taking the time to come down and help us let the public know what we have going on here. Thanks again.
What type of training is entailed if an officer is coming aboard to work on your team? What type of training do you have before you can get into this office and on the streets with BHN and all that?
Well, that's another, I can let Lieutenant Reyes speak to that, but I don't know the exact number, but almost all our department has been trained in crisis intervention, not just the officers that work here. And that's another little piece of the puzzle. I couldn't put all 100 guys down here, but they all have that training out there on the street, and they know about the resources here. So it's like, when they know it's this kind of call, they're reaching out to these guys to make that happen. So I believe it's 40-hour course, right?
It is, and just to expand a little about what the captain said, it's been 2 years since we've had this office in operation, but in actuality, in partnership with Department of Mental Health, Behavioral Health Network, we've been at this crisis intervention team for about 6 years here in Holyoke. Not only did we do the CIT, we developed CERT, which is Crisis Intervention and Re-Engagement Team, and in which we identify people that have been involved in crisis and traumatic experience, and then an officer along with a clinician would go out and do follow-up. But the captain's right. We had 85% of the department trained in the CIT, which is a 40-hour long course that teaches de-escalation tactics, how to deal with people with different mental health issues, how to different resources, and how to refer them to and different tactics and give them different tools than what we normally used to. So it's been a great training. Through attrition and people retiring and things of that nature, it's not quite 85% right now, but we are starting to send our new people back, and we're hoping to get between 85 and 100% of our department trained.
It's just more of a positive form of active policing in a sense, instead of reactive, where you're waiting for something to happen.
Oh,
It's both. I think it's both. We're proactive and we're reactive. So when there's a crisis that pops up on the street, Officer Summers, who's always here with it, will respond to that call if he's here and can do it with the BHN counselor. If it's one of our officers, they'll respond and then they'll reach out to Brian and he'll do follow-up later. The crisis intervention team, which goes out 4 nights a week with the clinician, will take the logs and check on those calls, even the ones Brian went on, and they will follow up and keep that connection going. Because, unfortunately, mental health isn't something that when we go on one call, it just disappears. It's going to be there, so they need to follow up and keep coming back and making sure those people have the services they need.
What are some of the more common calls you receive? Are you getting it from a family member, or are you getting from neighbors? What is like a sort of I'm sure there's not a typical call, but there must be some type of grouping you're seeing at this point, or pattern.
So what are you seeing on that? He's probably had the most experience.
Everything you just said to a T. It's neighbors, it's family members a lot of times, it's the individual themselves. It's all of those things that people call and are having a bad day and a mental health issue and stuff like that. So we get made aware of situations that get people the help that they need. BHN is great. They get them all the services that they can possibly get them and the help that they need and desire.
Can you describe some of the work you're doing? If you could just say your name, please.
Yep, so I'm Sean Bannon. I'm the Law Enforcement Program Coordinator for BHN. So I oversee all of our law enforcement programming, all of our co-response clinicians in various cities and towns, and basically just manage the relationships between BHN and local law enforcement agencies. And yeah, first and foremost, we have co-response clinicians embedded here with the Holyoke Police Department. They respond to the active 911 calls with the Holyoke Police Department. They conduct follow-ups with the Holyoke Police Department after the fact. The co-response clinicians are able to do full crisis assessments. They're able to make referrals. They're able to assist with kind of a wide variety of issues that maybe the officers aren't as well versed in. It could be de-escalation. It could be family support, just anything you can kind of think of. That's what the clinicians are there for. Also in collaboration with Holyoke PD, we don't just have co-response clinicians here, we have another program here known as the CARE program. It's the Crisis Alternative Recovery Engagement Team. And they sort of bridge that gap between where an individual may be in crisis and law enforcement or the co-response clinician meets with them, and until that individual is able to become active with long-term services. So there's this gap in the mental health system where what do you do with somebody who's in crisis now, but it's going to be 6 weeks until they can get into a therapy intake appointment? That's where the CARE program comes in. So right now, law enforcement refers into that program. We have another clinician who's able to be that short-term or long-term, if needed, support for those individuals. And yeah, that's kind of a quick overview of what we're doing here specifically.
Is there a direct number for this particular program? So if someone does want to call you that's needing help or a family member, is there a direct number besides calling the Holyoke Police Department?
Yes, we have an office number. So we have several numbers. And BHN has a number, and that goes directly to them. Brian has, I believe, the business cards, and then the BHN.
But can the police department actually send the call over to here? Can they forward it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
With the situation of being over a year in isolation because of the pandemic, a lot of situations with mental health and opioid use have increased. How have you seen this affecting right now, especially with a return to normalcy in the community, and what has been the activity so far in these matters?
Yeah, we've seen an increase in opioid overdoses throughout the community, and we take a proactive approach to that by responding to live overdose calls when available, communicating with family and friends involved in those overdose calls, friends that call 911 for loved ones. We conduct follow-ups with family and friends, make connections and referrals with our recovery coaches from BHN, assist them in all kinds of aspects of treatment, detox facilities, MAT programs. So we try and really engage and connect with the community.
I'll add one thing to that too, that Joe left out as well. They are both narcotics officers, narcotics detectives. So when our narcotics unit does arrests, especially arrests of people that are in possession, they follow up with those people as well to get them the services they need. So even if someone that we felt we needed to take, action against with an arrest, we still use that opportunity to do follow-up, and that's worked out very well. I know they can speak to the director.
Yeah, so each individual, if they've been placed under arrest for a possession charge, any of that, obviously they're struggling with substance use disorder. So we will meet with them face to face, and we will let them know what we do, how we can help them, and we understand the situation they're in, but we understand that they're also suffering. So we provide them with our contact information, and we encourage them to call us. We let them know it's not a forced thing, but they are more than welcome to come in here, and we can connect them with a recovery coach. We have wonderful recovery coaches, and we can help them with a plan, develop a plan of some kind to help them with treatment. So that is a wonderful opportunity that we can actually provide
And
to
just
them.
recently as well, the court has also stepped in.
Yep.
So now we have a relationship with the court directly.
We'll get referrals from the courts as well, and we'll help.
Is that unusual, sort of pre-program that a judge would actually be sending someone to?
So they're starting that up. We've seen a little trickle of people being referred to us. Those individuals are also monitored by a social worker who's helping them, connecting them with us as well. So we're all kind of working together on each individual case. But it's definitely a wonderful opportunity for the public to utilize.
Captain Pratt, you're coming on as chief in a few months. What are your goals for this program? Are you going to seek more funding and try to expand the program some more? Or do you wish to speak on that now?
I'll let the mayor talk about funding. I'll just say that we are going to continue to. I am a huge supporter and advocate of what's going on here. It will definitely continue as if I can do that with the budget I have and with the resources. A lot of this is grant funded. We, as you know, have a great grant writer. He should get some recognition as well. Lieutenant Hardy does a phenomenal job finding the grants that help and plug us in here. And we're going to just do everything we can to keep this going because we believe in it.
Man, besides us, how do you get the word out about this program? Are you going to be talking about the city council, giving them an update on this?
I do give city council an update every second Tuesday and try to let them know what we've been working on. I do hope, and if you all don't mind, I would like you in the article to say, if you have a behavioral issue or a drug issue, this is a number you can call, not to be arrested, but to be assisted. If we can put that in there, because I don't think the public knows that.
Is that one of the questions you got asked when they do call, like, am I going to be arrested for coming down here, or, So,
and they're not. And they're not.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we want to emphasize. We're here to help you, and if I'm not mistaken, you all correct me if I'm wrong. they bring people here, let's go have a coffee, sit down and talk, let's get you off the street, let's see if we can find a way. I know their goal was to get people into recovery, and that side, make sure we're getting the right counseling on this side, and if I'm getting the wrong side there, don't give me an elbow.
But does that ever fall short getting people in the beds or recovery centers now, even part-time? It seems to me there's not enough treatment facilities around here, at least in this region of Massachusetts.
So during COVID, we definitely had a little struggle with finding beds because beds were cut. But I think right now it's opening up, and Providence Hospital they're transitioning into Mira Vista Hospital. So in August, I'm going to be reconnecting with the director, and we're going to start getting on board on how to get our clients to go down there for treatment as well. So that's a setback at this time, but we do utilize many different detox centers all the way up to Worcester that we will transport our clients to if they don't have transportation. So, and we actually get big help from the Sheriff's Department with the transportation who are here, and they assist us in a lot of that. We couldn't do it without them, I don't think.
I will say, and a couple of things. Number one, I know I was here about 7 months ago, we met and we talked about the need, once people do go to a rehab facility, the need to give them a transitional place. And so hopefully we're going to be able to do that somewhere down the line where, you're, all right, I'm in a clustered area getting rehab, and now I come back to the community and the temptations are still out there. So we need to find a way, and I don't have that answer. I know we've talked about it, and I brought up and had a discussion on it at City Council, but that is something, it makes no sense to say we're going to send you to rehab and then have too many fall victim to coming back to the same environment without getting the support they need to be strong enough to overcome. And it's not easy to overcome. So the other way to get the word out, and this is something I want to emphasize as well. One of the things I said, I want to make sure that the public knows the kind of things that we try to do. And I think that is crucial. So, these are programs that are not designed to create an antagonism between the police and the community. They're an attempt to use the police and the services that connect to it to provide a quality of life for people that are victims, people that have struggled. And that is something we've got to emphasize. And I know I'm not always going to agree. He knows I don't always agree. And he'll know it further for 5 more months. But, we got to tell the whole story. Now, some of the story is not going to be good. It's not always going to be, this is a great thing to happen. But I'm willing to bet that a great percentage of those stories are going to be these kind of positive stories. And that's what I'm trying to do. I want to emphasize that. And I want people to know that you can trust the police to help you. They're not here to hurt you, they're here to help you. And I want to thank all of these officers, all the clinicians, and all that they've done. So I want to emphasize that to the community. And I am going to do some things that are probably going to be controversial with some people, but I want the community and the police to get to know each other better and better. And I'm going to try to be promoting that shortly. So,
one aspect mentioned was that people will not be arrested if they call for help. And thinking also about the connection with community, speaking about Holyoke being a city where 50% is Hispanic, what are the resources available for people who do not speak English, who do not connect entirely yet with the community here in the US, because they may be recently moved into the city, particularly coming from Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, being some of the points that most of the Hispanic community in the city are from. What are the resources available for people who are not English proficient?
I can add into that.
go ahead.
So I'm the elderly affairs officer, and the one advantage I have is that they do speak Spanish. So, and I can't tell you the smile they see when they see a Spanish officer arrive. That trust issue is gone, and they feel a connection. So it's a huge part.
I can also add that I'm Lieutenant Reyes, and I'm directly involved with a lot of the hiring process, and I can tell you, I can tell you that out of the last 10 officers that we put, 8 of them were Hispanics, and a lot of females. So we are moving in that direction. We're hoping to continue to build on that. We do have a mandate that's a 1-for-1 hire, so for every non-minority, one minority does get hired, but we go above and beyond that, and that's our goal to become representative of our community.
And also, may I add that our recovery coaches, Harrison and Cotto, they're both Spanish speaking, and a lot of times when somebody comes in here, sometimes they don't speak English, so they feel very comfortable connecting with them, and they can provide them with resources as well. So it makes people.
Is there a
from all
misconception
backgrounds.
that this problem is sort of limited to the downtown and that the suburbs are these wonderful, placid places that nothing ever bad happens there? But it seems to me that addiction is everywhere, problems are everywhere.
Absolutely.
And so I'm sure you're responding all over the city at this point, right?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
And if I can also say, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have heard many times where not only do they go to that person one time, but then they back seeing that person again in another week, and back seeing that person a third time. And it may not be the 5th, 6th, 7th time before they finally say, you know what, I'm gonna take you up on, get me into some kind of program. So it's not, when I say the number of people, those people might have been contacted 4, 5, 6 times during that month. And some of them, obviously 12 of them took advantage of a rehab program. So, it is a persistence, but it's a persistence, and I'm assuming the requirement of building trust.
Absolutely.
People get the trust, okay, they're not here to get me, they're here to make an offer. I may not accept it this time, I may not accept it the next time, but if they persevere and they keep coming and that person finally realizes, I need help, give me that help. And that's, that's priceless for that person. How many people have had overdose and died? How many people have got into a psychological crisis and been unable to deal with it and done some damage? So this is an opportunity through this collaboration of services, to try to take care of those people most in need. And it doesn't mean we are eliminating the crime, but we're trying to eliminate some of the problems with the crime.
Thank you. Also?
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.